All right. So yesterday we last left off right here at the end of page 2 here. We entered in our purchase of a truck with the truck loan. So there it is. So we are now continuing on because we already completed everything for that. So we reached the bottom of page 2. So I can now move on to page 3. And what happened next? Here I have another purchase order to Atlas Coffees. And here I am going to be ordering 80 ceramic coffee mugs. Per unit is going to be $2.45, giving me a grand total of $196. Okay, and there is a $100 deposit. So in this case, right, this vendor doesn't know who I am, doesn't trust me or something like that, or they like to require a down payment before making an actual purchase. So it guarantees them that that in case like I back out, right, that they don't lose out money on there. Okay? So first let's go ahead and fill out the purchase order first, and then we'll figure out how to do the rest. Okay? So we gotta do a purchase order for 80 coffee mugs at $2.45. So purchase orders, right? We're going on our 4th purchase order. Oh, it's actually our 5th one. Yeah, our 5th one. Okay. So today's date, June 8th. Who are we purchasing from? All Things Ceramics. What did we buy? We bought coffee mugs, 80 of them, at $2.45. So therefore, that will give me a grand total of $196. Okay. So here you go. Here's our purchase order number, which is 170305. Okay, so that one is going to be proof that we made a prepayment, okay, or a down payment. Now they require a $100 down payment. Okay, so and let's say I used a check because obviously I don't have cash on me. So how do I make a prepayment or make a down payment to a vendor for $100? Okay, so this vendor requires a down payment. So how do I record a down payment?
Check.
Okay, you're gonna write a check. So checking, good. What else?
Truck loan.
I'm not buying a truck.
Okay. Purchase order.
Is there an account called purchase order?
Okay. We need to pay, right?
We need to pay a down payment for coffee
Okay.
mugs.
Payable.
Why? You're not owing anybody right now. Why are you owing somebody?
We do first of all the check to pay for them.
Yes, but what do we get out at the end of the day?
Uh, we purchase.
Mm, what account can I use to say that I bought something in advance?
Bank, like account.
No. How can you buy a bank account?
How do we say it?
When you buy something in advance. We've seen this account for many, many times already.
Okay, like
When you pay for something in advance.
down payment, like credit or debit, correct?
No. Credit, yes. To a vendor, yes.
Mhm. So,
This isn't a liability. You don't owe anybody. You're paying somebody. How can you owe somebody when you pay somebody something?
invoicing,
Where are you looking at? Look at your chart of accounts.
okay, direction, debit, credit, general, checking, tracking, loan.
I'm not asking you to look at your journal. I'm asking you to look at your chart of accounts. You need to see your transaction analysis says that you need to analyze a transaction and use the chart of accounts to be able to organize this transaction. What account represents that I'm buying something in advance?
Checking,
That's you paying, but you bought something in advance.
account receivable,
That is when customers pay you or owe you. This isn't a customer.
cash in register or
We're buying coffee mugs, Jerari.
Mhm.
How in the
Mhm.
world would this have to do with the cash register? Do not be asking blank questions. Read the chart of accounts and look at which account makes the most sense. Why would a cash in the register make sense when you're purchasing coffee mugs?
Okay, we pay credit card, we have
I already told you it's
receipt,
not a liability.
visa,
It is not a liability.
so I don't know.
Go through your chart of accounts.
Yeah, I did.
You did not go through all of it because there's more than just 5 accounts.
Okay.
When you buy something in advance,
Mhm.
you pay for services in advance.
How do we say it? Account. Uh,
You're paying a vendor for services in advance.
So this is in where we could found it in week one, correct?
Say that again.
In week one.
We have done this before, yes.
Okay, where is it? Computer. Um, cash, general, business expenses.
It is not a business expense.
Okay, we have account payable, and we have period account.
Say that again.
Period account.
Prepaid account is where we, yes, that's the account that we use. It's a prepaid account, meaning I paid for it already. I made a prepayment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
So now checking.
Now I need to get the check number.
Or 1509.
Okay. How much did I spend? $100. Who did I purchase this from?
It's called check it, truck, and it's called honest robs.
I'm not on the truck anymore.
Why I see it in the truck?
I don't know where you're looking at, but we're not on the truck anymore. I'm writing a check to buy coffee mugs.
I have in my in my screen. I have the truck checking truck loan.
Okay. So you don't have the scenario on you?
No, I have purchase order 170305.
Right. And who did you make a purchase order to?
80 current coffee mugs. Do you speak about this one, right?
Yes. We're done with the truck already.
Okay, okay. I'm just
You don't remember us putting in the purchase order?
yeah. Yesterday. So yeah, now the down
Yesterday?
payment.
This is 5 minutes ago. We just plugged in the purchase order just right now. How did you are you really
Because
paying attention?
yesterday, truck and like we did yesterday one.
We did exactly. We're done with it. So why do you keep referring to it? We're on the purchase order. We just plugged in our purchase order.
Yeah, I thought we are still in the truck. Okay. Now purchase order.
All things symmetric.
All things ceramics.
Oh, ceramics.
Okay, why? We made down.
Down payment for coffee mugs.
Okay. So we wrote a check for 1509. Okay, so we have everything that we need, right? We have the vendor. We have all things ceramics. Right? We have the purchase order number, right? Because that's going to tell us that we made the down payment. And then you could say down payment. And then you could say check number 1509. Now we're done. Okay? So what's next?
We have to write the check.
We already wrote the check 1509.
Is it the sub ledger?
I would prefer you to go to the ledger first before the sub ledger. Okay, because the sub ledger is just your it's just a list of your vendors, right? To keep track of what happened here. But right now, I want you to plug it to the ledger first. So in this exact order, we had a prepaid account. Here you go, prepaid accounts. So we're going to go ahead and say down payment on coffee mugs. General journal, page 3, because we're on the new one, for $100. Therefore, you should have increased your account to $7,928.04. And now I need to update my checking account because I spent money. I paid somebody. Right? So I need to credit $100 because, right, I spent money. So now I should be from 7202.42 to 7102.42. Okay? So now that I finished my journal and I finished plugging into my ledger, now I can go ahead and update my subsidiary ledger to keep a track record that I made a down payment to All Things Ceramics, so that means they owe me services. All right, All Things Ceramics should be the very first vendor on here, right? You could say down payment on 80 coffee mugs, and you could say, what was your proof of your transaction? I paid with check 1509. Invoice, you could say it's the purchase order number 305 because you haven't received the actual invoice yet, but your proof the transaction exists because of the purchase order. Okay. Post reference, page 3. We were not given terms yet because we haven't received our orders yet. We haven't received our invoice yet. Okay. And once again, do not use the prepaid account until we receive our bill. Okay. So that means the invoiced amount is going to be $100 and we paid it. So if you run your formula one more time, right? Prepaid minus, invoice amount minus prepaid minus returns minus discounts minus payments should give you $0. Okay? That's for now. Okay? Because you don't owe all things ceramics anything. Okay? Okay? So let's see what happened next. All right. We received from another furniture store another purchase. So in this case, what did we receive? What did we receive?
One bistro table and two chair sets.
Mm-hmm. Do we have that in our chart of accounts?
Yes, 13,010.
13,010. Good. We bought some bistro tables and chairs. Okay. Now in this case, I received a bill. What does that tell me?
The amount,
Okay.
and that we have to pay it.
In this case, we don't have to pay it, right? Why? How many days is this bill due?
50.
So does it mean I have to pay now?
No.
Okay, good. And I am going to choose to pay later. So in this case, what does this become?
Prepaid.
Not a prepaid,
Notes.
not a notes, because we actually have an actual due date.
Checking.
No, we're not paying it today.
Accounts payable.
Accounts payable, because I owe the money, right?
Yes.
I owe money to furniture store. And I know for a fact that I have 15 days to pay. So it's a definitive due date, meaning I have to pay within 15 days. Where a note's payable, you can choose to defer the payment. Okay? All right, so we got accounts payable. For how much? How much was my table?
605.55.
6,605. Oh wait. Okay, 660508. Okay? Because my tables and chairs, right? In order for me to to utilize this fixed asset, right, because it's furniture, I have to assume every cost it takes to get my asset to the store, but most importantly, to get it ready for service. These are tables and chairs. They're already set up. So in this case, the minute you received it, right, it's ready to use. Okay? So that means what were the costs it took you to get it to the store? Well, we had to pay sales tax and we had to pay shipping. So in this case, 6,605.08. You said six. Okay, never mind. So in this case, we have to include everything because, right, the idea is this is a fixed asset. We need to figure out what the total cost is. Okay? So there you go. You have everything you need. Okay? So we received from furniture store. Okay? We got an invoice number 75. And we have a due date, net 15. You don't need to say you want tables and chairs because if you look at the account that you're using, it's pretty straightforward. Okay? So let's go ahead and plug this into my ledger. Because now I owe more money. Okay, so I bought furniture. Here we go, tables and chairs. Ten sets of one table and two chairs. That cost me $6,055. $6,550. I can't forget about the tax. Which gave me a total of $499.58, and shipping was $50. $499.58. Plus $50 shipping. We're on page 3. And this is a debit for 6,605.08. Okay. Next thing I have is an accounts payable, which is a liability because now I owe money now. So in this case, right, I owe money on invoice number 75, which tells me I've increased my liabilities by $6,605.08. So that should give me a total of $10,000, $10,033.75 that I owe. All right. And now I need to go to my subsidiary ledger because now I'm responsible to make my payments to furniture store. Okay. Here you go. Furniture store. Right? What did you receive? I received the 10 sets of bistro tables. Right? Which cost me $6,055.50 plus 8.25% tax, which once again was $499.58, and then plus $50 shipping. And it was invoice number 75, General Journal 3, and I got terms. I have to pay within 15 days. So therefore, right, they didn't give me a discount. However, when is my next due date? When is this bill due?
The 23rd.
The 23rd. Okay. For how much? 6605.08. Okay, so if you go ahead and drag this formula down, right, if you guys remember, it should copy that formula and apply it to every single cell. So in this case, I owe an additional $6,000, giving me a grand total of $9,033.75. Okay, that's a lot that you owe furniture store. Okay. Okay, so now we're done with that transaction. Okay. So let's see what happened next. It is now the next day, or sorry, next 2 days. So now it is finally Monday, so Sunday I guess we didn't work. So Monday rolls around and it's time that you pay Kim Robinson for the $1,000. Okay? I need to pay Kim Robinson for what I owe. Okay? Now, how do I do that? Because I owed Kim Robinson $1,000. And now, today's the day I have to pay. How do I know today is the day I have to pay? How do I know today is the day I have to pay Kim Robinson?
It's June the 10th.
How do I know we have to pay her in June 10?
We write it down
Where?
here. Pay King Robertson.
No. If I didn't have this, how do I know I have to pay her?
If it's 15 minutes, we will know when we need to pay them.
In this case, she did not give me 15 days.
So,
But how do I know that?
because I put it in journal,
Which, not journal. Where did you put this information?
in my book, like accounting book.
Which one?
The take the bookkeeping book.
The subsidiary.
The subsidiary, right? If I go pull up my subsidiary
Mm-hmm.
and I look up Kim Robinson, or Robinson Kim, last name first, there she is. I received her bill on the 7th for the interior designing. It was invoice number 1542, and it told me it was due in 3 days. So we said it must have been due on June 10th. How much do I owe her?
1,000.
We owe her $1,000. So, how do I pay her for what I owe?
Write a check.
Write a check. All right, you're not gonna send $1,000 cash. So in this case, okay, I'm gonna write a check for $1,000. Now, I wrote a check that's only half the transaction. How do I represent the other transaction? Where am I putting this in, or where am I taking it out from? In this case, right, we assume that we got a bill. So how do we pay for what we owe? How do I pay for what I owe?
Payable.
Yes, accounts payable, right? Because I'm paying for what I owe, because in this case, right, when I received the bill, she completed it, and then now I I assume that I owe her money. So now today's the day where I'm making a payment for what I owe. So in this case, I'm going to reduce my accounts receivable. I mean my accounts payable. Okay? Because I no longer owe Kim Robinson anymore. Okay? So let's go ahead and grab a check. Okay? Why am I paying Kim Robinson? For interior, for invoice number 1745. I think, let me check. Oh, invoice 1542. I was way off. Okay. So I can go ahead and say that I paid Kim Robinson for invoice number 1542, and I paid her with check 1510. Okay. So now that I finished my journal, I need to go into my ledger. Because let's see, accounts payable, right? First here, I am going to decrease it because I paid off for what I owed. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and say payment for invoice number 1542. And I'm going to reduce this account by $1,000. Okay, so therefore, I'm going to subtract it out. So now I should owe $9,033. Okay, and I need to go to my checking account because I just paid $1,000. So therefore, I need to reduce the amount in my checking. By $1,000. So now I had $7,102. Now I'm down to $6,102. So I'm getting low in my money. Okay, I owe a lot of money. So far, that's the reality of opening a business, a brand new business. Okay, you have to invest a lot of money. You got to buy things and know a lot of people, and yes, okay. So now that I got my journal, my ledger, I now need to go to my subsidiary ledger because I now need to make a note that I paid Miss Kim Robinson. So how do I do this? So this is how I apply my payment, right? Today is the 10th. Okay. I can say I made a payment. How? Well, I wrote her a check, 1510, right? And what invoice was this referring to? Invoice number 1542. Okay. And I'm on General Journal, page 3. Okay. And what did I do here? I simply made a payment of $1,000. Right? If you have this formula in here, right now it says I owe $1,000 to Kim Robinson, but the minute I go ahead and drag this formula down, it's going to say that, well, for this row right here, you made a payment which reduced the accounts payable by $1,000. Right? So therefore, at the end of the day, I owe Kim Robinson nothing. Okay? Because I paid for what I owed. That's how I use a subsidiary ledger to keep track record of, first, I recorded the bill. Second, here, I use a separate line to make a payment to this. Okay? I didn't use the same line because you can, right? You can use the same line. But the only difference here is you're not doing a really good track record of your transactions, because in this case, right, you're gonna have to change the date. You're gonna have to add more details to the notes saying that you made a payment, and you're on a different journal. But you could still do it's not wrong that you use it in one line. But at the end of the day, right, this right here shows me there was 2 transactions. One was me receiving the bill, and the other one was me paying for the bill. This is a definitely more clearer vision than if you were to cram everything in one line. But yes, you could have done that. You could have, if you didn't want to, you could have done this, right? So you owe $1,000 for this exact invoice. You could have simply just said, I paid for it, and it would have made it 0. Yes, you could do that. But like I said, this doesn't tell me any information. This just tells me that a transaction happened and it's been paid. Okay? right? I would have to squeeze in the date, squeeze in the check number, and so on and so forth, right? In this case, I'm going to teach you to do it this way. That way, you can see a clear vision of two transactions that are happening. One is receiving the bill. Next one, you made a payment. Okay? All right? This will make you a little more organized instead of cramming everything into one row. Okay? All right? Okay? So now we paid Kim Robinson. Let's see what happened next. National Bank approves of a business credit card, your Visa Gold credit card. Okay? You got a $10,000 credit limit, okay? With an 18% interest on end of the balance, okay? And payments are due by the 10th of every month. Or in this case, in the next month. So in this case, we acquired a credit card for $10,000, Visa Gold for 18% interest. Okay, and the payments are due the 10th of next month. So what do I do with this transaction here?
We would record it for bank loan,
This isn't a bank loan.
business credit.
Okay, do we have a business credit card account?
I don't think so.
Go ahead, take a look on your chart of accounts.
Okay, it says it was approved. So do we have to record this one?
I'm asking you.
No,
No. Why?
because we didn't do anything, we just got approved.
Exactly. We haven't spent the credit card, but we have a credit limit. At least we know we have $10,000 that we can spend. But in this case, I haven't spent a dime yet. I only received the card. So in this case, no transaction was made. Okay? So I don't have to say I racked up a liability because even if I have this $10,000 credit card and I never use it, that means I don't owe National Bank anything because it's a condition. You have to spend the money first for you to have to pay, and you get charged interest. So if you don't if you don't charge that Visa credit card, then you don't have any transaction involved. So in this case, that's correct. However, right? We should put this information somewhere. And where would you put it? This is another adequate disclosure, right? It's definitely pertinent information for the future, right? We need to let ourselves know that we have a $10,000 credit card at an 18% interest, and it's going to be due next month on the 10th. So where should we put this? Where should we put this information?
General journal.
No, we're not journalizing this transaction. Who did I get a credit card from?
National Bank.
Okay. So are these National Bank's terms or are they my terms?
Your term.
No, you didn't make the decision to charge 18% interest.
Their term.
It's their terms. So where should I put this information?
Um, the what is it called? The subsidiary.
Excellent. The subsidiary, right? Our list of vendors, right? Because this is their terms. This is what they gave me. So in this case, I didn't spend any money, so that's not is not my transaction. So therefore, this pertinent information, I need to put it into my subsidiary ledger because when I receive a bill, then I know exactly why they charged me all this money. Right? So I'm going to go to here, look up National Bank Visa credit card right here, National Bank Visa Gold. Okay? Today's the 10. Okay? You don't need to enter anything else except for this information just because, right, we don't owe yet because we haven't spent the money yet and you haven't received the bill yet. So all I really want you to do is just fill in just the notes. So in this case, what you can say here is you got a credit limit of $10,000. Okay, you're gonna get charged 18% APR, so annual percentage rate. Okay, um, I think that's it, right? No invoice number, but at least you can know this. It's due on the 10th. So 10th.
And that's if we use it, right? So if we don't use it,
Yeah, because again, if you use it, then you're gonna receive a bill. You're not gonna be charging for the whole $10,000. It's based on whatever your ending balance is. Okay, so in this case, we're just plugging this in here because we don't know if we're gonna owe all $10,000.
sorry, my baby's excited.
What is it again?
I said I'm sorry about that. He's excited. He's like watching a
Oh
show.
no, don't worry about it. So there you go. You got $10,000 credit, and you got an 18% APR, and it's due on the 10th. So that's what I put in the terms. That it's called a date driven term, where that means it's due on the 10th.
Can I put due 10?
Sure.
Due.
Okay. So again, you don't have to copy anything that I put in here because it is your spreadsheet, right? It is your books. However, if you leave off information and you look back at it, so if you're anything like me, I cannot remember what I did yesterday. So that's what I'm trying to say. So think about it. If you're journalizing this on a daily basis, what is your mental capacity if you can't remember what you just did? So that's why putting in as much detail in a transaction is very important because if you just leave it blank, then you receive the bill and you're like, wait, what happened? What happened here? How did I get this? Why did I get this? Why is it due on the 10th? Okay? So that's why it's very important that you do try your best to put as much details, but again, whatever you want to type on your spreadsheets is whatever you want to do, right? It's your books, not mine. I'm just doing this as a means to teach you what you can or cannot do. Now, obviously, you for surely, if it's a bill, you need to fill in all the information. But as far as the notes and descriptions, that's literally up to you. Okay? All right, so there you go. I popped in that into my subsidiary ledger so that when I do receive a bill, I am aware that I have a $10,000 credit, and I am aware I'm going to get charged 18% interest. Okay? And I am aware that this bill is going to be due on the 10th. Okay? So then let's see what happened next. So after we got approved of a Visa credit card, we end up receiving another bill. This time we end up receiving, oh wait, hold on. Before we move on, actually, we forgot to check mark our purchase orders because we did receive our bistro tables. Okay, when did we receive it? We received it, I think we received it on the 8th, right? Date. Okay. We received it on the 8th, and it was invoice number 75. So in this case, right, now I end up receiving another invoice, okay, from All Things Ceramics. And check this out. When I received the ceramic coffee mugs from All Things Ceramics, we're gonna consider this as periodic inventory, and we're gonna be using the weighted average costing method. So in this case, right, I have periodic inventory. And here I received a bill letting me know that I have all 80 ceramic coffee mugs, okay, at $2.45 each, right, which gave me a total of $196. I had a prepayment, which reduced it by $100, but I had a freight charge that increased it by $100. So now I owe $196. Okay? So here I got some terms. Okay? What do I do when I purchase periodic inventory? How do I journalize this?
So periodic. So that would be at the end of receiving.
Good. Good. How do I journalize periodic inventory?
Purchase expense.
Purchase expense. And what else do I have to include?
Tax and freight.
Tax. In this case, was I taxed?
No. So just freight.
So just freight. Good. Excellent. Now in this case, let's go, since I'm already in my purchase orders, let's go ahead and assume that we got it already. So, or not assume, but acknowledge that we got it, received the coffee mugs. It's June 10, and this is invoice number 126. Okay. So there you go. I received this purchase order, so I don't have to keep looking for it. But right now, let's see. I haven't received my coffee brewer or coffee grinder yet. And that's pretty much it. I received everything else. Okay. So now that you said we acknowledge that we have a purchase order and a freight expense. So let's take a look at my chart of accounts. Do those accounts exist? We got freight expense at 6,300, and do we have a purchase expense?
Yes.
Yes, 61,000. Okay. So let's go ahead and record this. So we have a purchase expense. Okay. Okay, 61,000. And we have a freight expense. 6,300. And how did I pay? How did I pay?
We write a check.
In this case, right, we're going to take advantage of the terms one more time. So we're not going to pay today. So I'm going to choose to owe all things ceramics. So what account would I use to represent that I owe money?
Accounts payable.
Accounts payable. Good. Okay. Now let's go ahead and fill in everything. So what was my total purchase expense? If I bought 80 mugs at $2.45, how much is my total purchase expense?
196.
196. How much was my freight?
100.
100. Okay. How much do I owe?
196.
196. All right. So let's take a look. I have 296 on the left, and I only have 196 on the right. I'm missing $100. So where did that $100? So let's look at the bill. Where did that $100 go?
Prepayment.
The prepayment. So what account did I use for the prepayment?
Checking.
Not checking. That's how we paid. It's a prepayment. I paid them in advance. You can scroll up if you'd like.
The prepaid account.
Prepaid account. So this is what we did. We paid them. They gave us a voucher. Now we took that voucher and we applied it to this invoice. So that's exactly what this is. We are applying what we already owe to the invoice. That's why we only owe 196 because we already paid $100 to this bill already. So how do we claim this voucher? We're going to take it out from my prepaid accounts. Okay. All right. So we have everything we need, right? We received a bill from All Things Ceramics. Okay. We have invoice number 126. We have some terms, right? What did they give us? What kind of terms did they give us?
1%, 15, 30. Oh, 20.
10 net. Okay. So 1%, 10 net, 20. Okay. And that should be good enough, right? Okay. So now that I finished my journal, I now need to plug it into my ledger. Okay. Because now there's a few things I got to do. I got to acknowledge I got a purchase expense, acknowledge that I got a freight expense, but I also have to acknowledge that I owe money, but also redeemed the prepayment. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that first in exact order. So I made a purchase expense. All right, here it is, purchase expense. What did I buy? 80 coffee mugs. Okay. We're still on General Journal 3, and I increased my expense by $196, right? Each coffee mug cost you $2.45, which gave you a total of $196. Okay. We also had to pay for freight. So here you go, freight expense. Okay. Shipment of 80 coffee mugs, right? General Journal 3, and we had to incur $100 for freight, for shipping cost. Okay. All right, so next one we had to do is we acknowledge that I received a bill and that I now owe more money. Okay, I owe more money to All Things Ceramics. So in this case, it's the 10. We received invoice number 126, General Journal 3. So here I acknowledge that I owe another additional $196. So therefore, that should increase my account, right, from 9,033 to $9,229. Okay? So I increased it by $196. Okay? And now I need to redeem my prepayment. So I got to go to my prepaid accounts. Okay. Here it is, prepaid accounts. And I need to say here that I applied down payment on coffee mugs to invoice number 126. Okay? So that tells me that I am redeeming my down payment for invoice number 126, which is going to decrease my account by $100. So now you drop back down to $7,826.04. Okay? Because now I'm redeeming the amount that I paid for in advance, which applied to my invoice. Okay? So that's the journal, that's the ledger. So now I have to plug it in to my subsidiary ledger. Okay? Now in this case, we dealt with All Things Ceramics. Okay? Here they are. It's the 10 now. And now you could actually say, I received 80 coffee mugs. Okay? And applied down payment. Okay? So, what was my invoice number? 126. General Journal page 3 still. Terms. I was given terms, right? It was 1%, 10 days, net 20. So that means I actually now have a discount due date. So in this case, right, if I receive the bill on June 10 and I have 10 days to make the discount due date, what day do I need to pay to be able to take advantage of this discount? On what day do I need to pay for the online discount? For the discount. What's 10 days after June 10? June 20th, okay? If not, when is the bill actually due? The 30th of June. Okay, so that means I'll be making some payments I'll be making some payments in the future. Okay? Now, this is how I want you to use this. Now, I said I applied this $100 down payment. Okay? So that means I made a prepayment of $100. Now, let's actually take a look at the bill. How much would the bill be if I did not have a down payment? What would the original billing amount be?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Are you breaking?
Okay. In this case, right? Let's take a look at the bill. How much would the bill be if you didn't have a down payment? 296. So that's exactly what you could do. 296. Okay? Now, if you applied this formula correctly, right, you're going to take your invoice amount minus prepaid minus your returns minus discounts minus payments, right? It should say that for this bill, even though you originally said that you were billed for $296, you applied the $100 down payment, so now you owe $196, and that exactly matches your bill. Okay, so in this case, right, that's how I want you to do it. When you actually use or apply the prepaid, then when you receive the bill, you apply it to the invoice just like this. Okay? Because then now, right, this bill for the invoice number 126 does tell me that I owe $196. Okay? And at the bottom here should tell you that you owe all things ceramics $196. Okay? Right? All right, so that was the journal. That was the ledger. This is the subsidiary ledger, okay? Now there's one more page, and I'm going to introduce this to you, right? I said that you needed your inventory worksheet because what did we buy? We just bought periodic inventory. So therefore, we need to update our inventory. So here you go. Under coffee mugs, right? I acknowledge that the costing method is weighted average. The item is ceramic coffee mugs, and it's periodic. So in this case, right, I just made a purchase because I received the items. Okay? So today's date is the 10. I bought 80 mugs at $2.45. Okay? That should give me a grand total of $196. I got charged $100 freight. So therefore, my grand total cost is $296. Now, this is what you can do. It's optional if you want to do it for practice purposes only. You can actually calculate the cost per item. Okay? Because in this case, right, I'm already going to tell you this. You're definitely going to have more purchases of inventory, especially ceramic coffee mugs, from here on out. Okay? You're going to have a bunch of them. So in this case, you already know that this one batch of 80 is not the only batch. Okay? So that means I don't necessarily need to do a cost per item because at the end of the day, the costing method I'm using is weighted average. So if you remember from way back when in chapter 5, that means I wait to the very end and I calculate the total quantity, and I calculate the total cost, and I find the average cost per item. So in this case, it's only if you want to do it for practice purposes only. So I'll go ahead and do that. Practice purposes only, right? Cost per item is going to be your total cost divided by your quantity. So in this case, my cost per item is $3.70. Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to stop here. Okay. And then we'll continue on.